You've seen the pictures of the magnificent Northern Lights display, the colorful dancing curtains in the night skies of northern cities, the greens, the yellows, the purples. Don't you ever wonder how these colors appear? The beautiful display is actually caused by the solar wind and the magnetic properties of the Earth's upper atmosphere. I will describe to you the properties of the solar wind, the magnetic field of the Earth, how these two interact to create the northern lights, and finally some more facts about auroras. So to begin, let's discuss the sun's role in creating the northern lights. The sun's outer atmosphere releases electrons and protons to form what we call the solar wind. You may recall from a grade school science class that electrons and protons are parts of an atom, which is the smallest bit of an element like hydrogen or oxygen that you can find. Electrons have a negative charge while protons have a positive charge. As Bartolone said in 2014, charged particles that move around quickly create a magnetic field, which is the push or the pull that two objects have on each other. For example, I have these two normal magnets here. These identical sites, when they're put together, push each other apart. But when we put the opposite sides together, they pull each other closer. According to Hunter in 2013, electrons and protons that are in the solar wind are full of energy, and they move across the entire solar system like a wind. And since these charged particles are moving, they create a magnetic field that the solar wind carries with it. And the sun rotates while the solar wind is being emitted, so the magnetic field in the solar wind spirals. Now the Earth also has a magnetic field, and it's created by molten rock in the outer core of the Earth, and it's circulating. So again, this movement creates a magnetic force, which we call the magnetic field of the Earth. Next picture, please. So here we see the solar wind coming from the sun and the Earth. And again, the solar wind and the magnetic field of the Earth are magnetic, so they can be attracted to each other. And remember that opposites attract. According to Brecky in 2013, the magnetic field of the solar wind, as it spirals, sometimes points the opposite direction of the Earth's magnetic field, and they interact. So the electrons that are in the solar wind disrupt the shape of the Earth's magnetic field, and they create this long tail that you see here. Now this tail can stretch so far that it pinches off and zooms back towards the Earth, to the north and the south poles. These zooming electrons are shot at the upper atmosphere, which consists mainly of oxygen, like the oxygen we breathe, and nitrogen, which are both gases. The electrons from the solar wind collide with these gas particles and energize them, but they have to return to normal. So they release this energy in the form of tiny bursts of light. And when so many particles are involved, all the light that's given off, we see as the northern lights in the sky. In a nutshell, these gas particles are energized by the sun, and they create auroras when they return to their normal states, as Holberg pointed out in 1928. And in 1967, McCormick remarked on the sources of all the colors that you see. Greens and yellows come from oxygen, blues and violets come from nitrogen, and red, which is more rare to see, comes from oxygen or nitrogen. And finally, I have a few short facts about the northern lights. They're most common where people aren't because it's so cold at the North Pole. But they're actually present here at all times because the sun is always giving off the solar wind at the Earth. You just can't see the northern lights during the day or during the summer because the light from the sun drowns out the light of the northern lights. And bright, exciting auroral shows tend to occur every 27 days, which corresponds to the amount of time it takes the sun to rotate once in relation to the Earth, as Savage said in 1994. So in closing, we have clearly seen that the sun and the Earth work together to create the marvelous phenomenon that is the northern lights. The properties of the solar wind and the Earth's magnetic field, along with their interaction, beauty of the northern lights is more than the streams of color that illuminate the night sky. Rather, these picturesque displays of the northern lights are a wondrous collaboration between the sun and our earth.